So it'll be interesting to see here. You can see that our solar and our input and output basically are almost the same now, but we only have 14 hours and roughly 14 hours left of being in this situation where we would then be dead. So what we're wanting to see now is, as the solar is slowly coming up, let's see how much more input we have before we switch from remaining to charge. So give you an overall idea of the efficiency. And even though I'm a victim of, and potentially the original whistleblower of the 2.2.6 F3800 bug that's causing unexpected reboots and more clicking of relays in this unit that should not be. I've been talking about the solar ones forever, and as you go through the thread and see that there are many that didn't even realize that it was happening, I've been realizing that there's been issues with the XT60 connections and how often you can get clicks on your relays. Some people have talked about, oh, it's just a quick relay to switch, cheap. Well, I don't know if it's quick to change. Maybe cheap, I can agree to that. But why would we abuse it? So I just want, again, sorry, some of my videos sound like I'm ranting. I'm not. I'm just trying to get all the information out there. I'm not an author of any books, so maybe my writing skills and trying to get my thoughts to paper are not great, but okay, so now we're making 40-50 watts more. Kind of back and forth a little bit. Solar's starting to creep up more here. Got a little bit more time remaining now. This instant output is great, but over time it would be nice to have like a few minute average or something by either pressing and holding the display button. Maybe we could do to the firmware, potentially something in the app, or if just all these numbers were in one place in the app and you didn't have to click around everywhere between your devices and the home page to see this info. You could see my display button has got the little deal still on here, and it's been pressed many a times because sadly, even after a year, this is still the fastest and quickest way to look and see what's going on holistically with this, because you just have to click too much around in the app to see what you want to see. Should all be on the same page. A diagnostics page, something. So let's see how many more hundreds of watts we need at a 12 to 12 and a half-ish output. Let's see what how many more input watts we're going to have before the remaining goes away and we start to charge. This should be important too for you time of use users with an HPP. Reason why that be is because I strongly believe if you're not at least somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 or 50% of peak versus non-peak monies charged by your electric company, you'll just barely start to see a very minute amount of savings. There's claims that this unit on its best day is about 83% efficient. So and again, it's just a transparency. When we buy these, it's super easy to buy, but lots of things that are misrepresented as far as physical, being able to stack these next to each other. They show in videos, not possible obviously with an HPP and the plugs and the battery plugs. Still to this day are advertising that it's 2400 watts. You can't get any more than 23 out of it. I really feel that Anker needs to take some accountability. Fixing the firmware that's currently broke and all the things that we have had to learn over time. And best part is potentially are on a page that is Facebook page that is being dictated by the company is not good business. Well, continuing to creep up. So we're about 100 over, so let's see here. I'm guessing we're gonna have to be closer to 250 or so over before it starts to show a charge. To 125. So yeah, again, like an average where it would show like the last 5 minutes maybe or something. Especially if you have loads that are bouncing around a little bit and stuff, it'd just be nice to be able to zero in. But more importantly, where is in the app where if you have two F3800s, these numbers are just clearly, we don't need any pictures, nothing needs to be pretty, we just need the raw data on a simple click that shows these displays on the app for both of your F3800s. Or single, depending on what you have for the setup with the HPP. Shouldn't have to go back and forth multiple clicks to try to see. So now we're getting a little closer here, 2.4 days remaining. I think I got a refrigerator turned on or something. Currently right now, because of the firmware bug, I've got a bunch of stuff plugged in the side. This is pretty much the first time I've used the side, except for just to test it when I first received the units almost a year ago now. Oops, sorry. My crock on the roll floor. Like I said, the sun is coming up over here, so we're slowly building up some input here. Getting closer to that 200 over the output at times here. Anybody got any of the other Anker Solix portable stations? Ask yourself this question: why, if you have an HPP and in the app you can set the percentage when it's plugged in all the time, their recommendation is 20, but any of their portable units that they advertise as UPS 20 millisecond, which isn't the case. Why aren't we able to set in the app the percentage there instead of the unit cycling itself 1%, I think, daily? Why wouldn't we just be able to set a threshold and not allow the C1000, for instance, to charge more than 80 or 60 or whatever percent? Where's the slider for when you're plugged into AC and using it as a UPS as they describe. Why would they allow you to sit at 100% without actually selecting that when we know that that's not great for the batteries? Okay, come on. Yeah. Thanks for falling asleep here. Oh, look at that. 99.9 days remaining. That means we're getting close there. 64 days remaining. Alright, solar's coming up, getting closer. I know the output's jumping around a little bit, but somewhat stable. There's a lot of computer equipment on there. And there's a mini fridge on it at the moment. Again, just trying to get something out of the solar that we're collecting a few dollars a day to make up this ROI, which is why I'm such a stickler about it's 50 watts per XT60 connection. That's 200 watts. Over time, you guys figured out what's 200 watts on a continuous load throughout the month when the sun is out. What would that cost you? This whole solar adventure is all about the pennies. How many can you add up and get consistently when the sun is out? So it looks like we're going to get close here. So what did I say? About 250-ish or so? I'm a little off. It looks like it's going to need to be a little bit more than that. Say we're still hovering around that 12 or so, 12 and a half when I originally made that estimate. So the 83% efficiency or so is probably not too far off. So as I said, if let's just say your off peak is 10 cents and your on peak is 15, not quite going to be enough to be able to see too much of a savings or ROI at that point. If you're not, like the difference between 10 and 20 cents, I just don't see how you're even going to be able to really start to see a savings. You have to remember too, not only the loss here, but the inverter loss. I'm still trying to figure out where they actually account for the inverter loss in their math with the firmware updates that have for the HPP, for whatever reason, the last 3 or 4 HPP updates they've skewed the data for that day for your solar. So what was already not quite exact, based on mini CT and Emporia monitors that I have like 3 Emporia monitors monitoring everything, including the HPP input from main panel and output to critical. There's still a variance, discrepancy of what the Anker app says that you're outputting versus what you're really outputting. And that might just be the tolerance levels between them, but I can't imagine it's loss in cable at 3 gauge going to both panels. Oh, there we go. So 12, 27, 15, 13. 12, 27, 15, 13. I'm going to try to take a snapshot here so I can report. That's 21 minutes into the video. Basically, you can see after a little bit, we're starting to bounce back and forth. But yeah, we're needing at least on a 1227 or so load. You know, we're looking at, you know, so basically on 1,000 watts, you can bet that you're going to need to be making right around 200 extra on the input to basically be even Steven. So it only gets more expensive from there. Which again, why I said time of use people should be super understanding before they hit the buy it now button, that they understand that it should literally list there. If your energy consumption and your rate of consumption and the rate of your off-peak versus on-peak from your electric company isn't over 50%, this product is not for you for time of use. Especially if you're not doing a critical panel and trying to use the UPS 20 millisecond, which is only I can't say that I've been able to reproduce that ever at that low. I can get closer as long as the HPP is currently being AC coupled and there's an output. But if you don't have an output and you're sitting there in the middle of the night, you're not charging anything on the XT60s, you can expect a few seconds. So here's another $3,000 I had to buy for these 4 UPSs to make sure that critical computer loads and stuff, on top of the roughly $10,000 that's sitting on the floor over here between the HPP, 2 F3800s and 2 BP 3800s, which were also a last minute purchase after my purchase, to find out that many people were reporting that you can't get the actual output of what the solar is even capable of with 1 unit, which is yeah, this stuff all adds up. And just fixing firmwares and not actually correcting any of this, or more importantly correcting their marketing so that they're being transparent to buyers. I just want to know where the accountability is. So there you have it. You can clearly see that you definitely need to be making at least 17 to 20% over on the input. On the input over the output in order to get to the point where you're not still needing battery to be used to power the inverter. Again, super cool product, super neat. The data needs to be more transparent, needs to be more readily available, and definitely needs to be in front of the people that are buying this for pretty much any reason, just to understand that that's a substantial loss, potentially well warranted, but unfortunately without transparency, as people are billing ROIs based on what's advertised, nobody expects to have almost a 20% loss without being warned. Thank you. Sorry for another long video. I plan to keep this raw just because I want to make sure that people can see there's no funny business.